skip in. En nu de hoge knie.
In this part, we focus on speed training. As a football player, your movements during the match are very complex. You have to continually react to the playing situation, which demands continual changes in speed and direction. The distance you run to do this lies between 8 and 13 kilometers. If you look at how you do this, it looks something like this. 20 to 30% of the time you are walking. You jog 30 to 40% of the time. You run between 15 and 25%. You sprint from 10 to 15%. And walk backwards between 4 and 8% of the time. The percentages are naturally dependent on the playing concept and the position you take in it. In top matches, the amount of sprinting can rise to 18%. Whether or not you sprint with the ball, it is seldom in a straight line. You almost always sprint in an arc and change directions. This demands extra strength. The body's center of gravity is sometimes more to the left, then more to the right. Sometimes back over the heels, and then forward over the toes. For this reason, good body coordination is important. Sprint bursts in football are generally between 3 meters and 20 meters. This lasts between 1 and 4 seconds. Sometimes you have to sprint longer, but sprinting for more than 5 seconds full out happens rarely. For this reason, training at Ajax focuses on improving the start and acceleration. The ability to start and accelerate is a question of muscle strength times the speed at which muscles move. Scientific research has shown that acceleration is primarily determined by the strength of the first step. This step requires the greatest amount of muscle power. The second step requires a little less, the third step still less, and so forth. By this point, you should be up to speed. The power put behind the first step is critical. A good start is half the work. In training, it is important to make a distinction between stationary starts and starts with a forward motion or flying starts. The more immobile you are at the start, the greater the accent will have to lie on muscle power. Players have to concentrate well in order to use all the strength they can muster. With a flying start, top speed can be achieved rapidly because getting started takes less strength and energy. This energy is then available for a greater sprinting speed, which you reach faster. Most sprints in football are short, lasting only a couple of seconds. For this reason, emphasis in training remains on the strength put into the first step of acceleration. It's essential. So concentration should not be placed so much on the length of the sprint, but much more on the explosion of the start, and particularly the first step.
Yeah.
Additional power training is necessary for players whose first step is weak. To use the available strength in the first step more quickly, starting exercises are done on a slope with a gentle incline. Leg movements become faster. The nervous system then learns coordination for speed. When descending a slope, less resistance is encountered. This demands less strength for the first step. Of course, the slope shouldn't be too steep. You should be able to increase step frequency without holding yourself back.
Ja. Stop. Ja. En gaan. Hup. En weg. Hup. En weg. Hup. En weg gaan. Hup. Hup.
Just after sprinting with less resistance, you must repeat this in a normal situation. Then you try to translate the higher movement frequency to the normal situation on flat ground. The increasing the speed of the first step can also be trained using an elastic cord. This provides a catapult effect to the start. You can also train fast leg movements on flat ground.
Heel hoog, heel hoog. Niet vol hè. Tussen. Arm inzet.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Kom maar, snelheid. Hoge knie door. Arm inzetten heel even. Vlotter, frequentie weer. Arno, jij ook? Ja.
Adding more resistance increases the effect of sprinting exercises later on. The objective of these exercises is to give you more starting power while maintaining technique. You may begin only once the technique is good. The resistance should be such to allow you to maintain technique while running.
Start.
Running up a hill is also training with greater resistance. This requires greater muscle strength in the very first step.
Door. Ga je lekker door.
The same goes for exercising on stairs.
Hoge knie, hoge knie, hoge knie. Meer afstand houden, meer afstand jongens. Nee. Hup. Niet mis aan de treden. Arm inzet, been inzet, keihard. Kom aan. Loop je door.
In start exercises from a stationary position, emphasis is placed on the starting power. In start exercises with forward movement or flying start, the emphasis is placed on the speed with which muscles are flexed. At Ajax, we train this by following coordination exercises with an explosive short sprint. In the transition to the sprint, you have to ensure that the starting power is maintained.
En de versnelling.
Characteristic of this type of training is that you have to continually vary the frequency and length of the stride. In a match too, you have to continually adjust the stride. When speaking about speed, we are talking about the physical aspect of football, not as a goal in itself, but in order to create better and more enjoyable football. A quicker handling of the ball requires you quickly get in the correct position. Preferably, this is achieved by anticipation. This requires fast leg movements. The S of speed therefore means quick handling, quick anticipation, fast footwork, and fast movements. For speed, you need quick stimulation from the nervous system to the muscles. The position of the feet and footwork play an important part in this. It's not called football for nothing. Speed can be easily taught when you have a talent for it. This means that player selection is important. At Ajax, this is tested regularly with a shuttle sprint of 5 times 10 meters.
Die blijft laag in de draai. 5 keer heen en weer en dan afsprinten. Als we het allemaal een keer gedaan hebben zonder dat je de eerste keer voluit gegaan bent, gaan we na om de beurt allemaal weer voluit. En daarna mag je eventueel nog een bonus om het nog een 3e keer te verbeteren.
Oké, Billy.
1, 2, 3.
Loop door, hè? Loop wel! Ja!
In a shuttle sprint, fast, short steps are essential. If you sprint in a straight line, your strides will become longer. This makes you vulnerable in football. It's much more difficult to stop, change direction, or to time your handling of the ball. For this reason, a shuttle sprint is very football specific.
1. En laag met 2. 1. Laag. 2. 3.
Was zo, Clive, het door.
Kom op jongens, snelste tijd.
In this shuttle sprint, the players of Ajax 1 are on average faster than the players of Ajax 2. But in a match, speed is not the only thing that counts. The difference between a good team and a top team lies primarily in the quality of the sprints. In general, top players not only take off faster, they also choose the right moment to move. They also know how to take advantage of each other's strong points. In top matches, there are a wealth of situations in which sprinting is required. For this reason, special emphasis is placed at Ajax on improving the start and acceleration.
Oh, wat stel je? Stop! Dat is het. Wie de eerste die opstaat? Hij was het. Stop! Kom aan. Stop! 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 Ja. En ga.
Physical training and speed training should always serve the game of football and never be done for their own sake. So never train just speed. Always ask yourself what kind of speed you need and in which situation it will be needed. The manner in which speed exercises are done at Ajax is the direct result of what you need during the match. All exercises result directly from the needs of football.
En andere kant, hup, en andere kant, hup, en andere kant, hup. Dat is beide.
Players are given increasingly less space by their opponents. It forces you to sprint more often or to make fake movements to free yourself of the defender. Football instinct plays a role in this. The moment you start off, the pull away, the camouflaged movement, putting yourself in a position alone in front of the keeper are all movements without the ball that communicate between teammates. Reading, anticipating, and seeing through each other's movements. It takes frequent practice of teamwork. One of the possibilities is presented by a training match between 7 attackers and 6 defenders. This means that the attackers always have one unmarked or undefended player. You have to find him with a quick circulation of the ball and the correct running patterns. When playing with 6 attackers and 6 defenders, the strategy is different. In this case, an attacker has to ensure that he gets free of his opponent at the right moment to open himself up for a teammate. This is also used to instill playing patterns. When playing with a numerical disadvantage, for instance 6 attackers and 7 defenders, the strategy is different still. You will have to make many individual movements. By outplaying your defender, a new situation is created in which the attackers must use their heads. Separate training, purely and singly concentrated on physical capacity, is not given attention until the child's first spurt of growth. That lies between 12 and 15 years. For this reason, muscle building and speed power exercises do not receive extra attention until mid-stage, 14 years old. The Ajax keyword is speed. Exercises, whether they require more or less muscle strength, should always be done quickly. Speed, even in technical exercises, will become increasingly important. Ajax makes selections and trains on this basis from the very beginning.
Op tijd loslaten, Frank de Boer. Hoort er allemaal bij.
When all you do is football training, it limits you. The maximum starting speed is less with the ball than without one. The same is true for initial starting power. Your body becomes faster and stronger and develops greater physical capacity when it is pushed to give 100%. To promote this development requires that training include maximum amounts of sprinting and jumping. This is a primary means to extend your limits.
Eén van de eerste passen weggaan. Gaan de armen en benen niet zitten. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ja, heel goed. Ga je door, ga je door. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ja.
To confine training to exercises with the ball, these limits will not be reached and therefore not improved. Constantly extending the limits of what you can do, the drive to become better, to learn something new, is something a football player at Ajax always has to strive for. This has everything to do with personality.
Bal vraagt als je tegenstander in de buitenkant staat, dat je binnendoor wil komen, dat je in de pas afstaat.
The way in which talent is developed at Ajax is the basis for success. This means that players are supervised in every way possible.
De straat? Naar beneden gaan. Nou, de Sambre la rue, dat is de straat.
The training also teaches you how to take care of your body. You are taught, for example, when and when not to play football.
Hij is ook wat verkleurd, ja? Dus wat ga je doen?
Sometimes you can play football with an injury without it causing damage. The same is true of a bruise. But with a pulled ankle ligament, you absolutely must not play.
Woensdag heb ik hem aan de kant gehouden omdat hij kwam met een gekneusde teen.
Young players don't know the difference. They have to learn how to take care of their bodies. That is why there is an attendant for everyone at Ajax. Working with the trainers and team leaders, they supervise the players.
Maar het is niet zo dat ik hem moet vasthouden.
Another part of supervision is the prevention of injury. The most important way to prevent them is through good coordination. So, during training and at home, players do a variety of exercises to improve coordination.
En weer naar links. Ja, hou vast, hou vast, hou vast.
For a football player, it is very irritating to have a foot injury. If you neglect it, you could suffer for a long time, and the consequences. Football is a contact sport. You confront not only yourself, but the competing team as well. Only training to develop brute strength is too one-sided. You should also be able to control the strength through agility and timing. That makes power training in football very complicated. So complicated that body strength can best be exercised in specific football situations or in dry situations, which come close. Duels sometimes require explosive flexing and other times static flexing of the muscles. Duels have to be practiced in football situations, first with light opposition and later with more opposition. Here, you learn how to brace your body for fractions of a second.
In weg, Fabian. Kom op, kom op. Tuurlijk.
Oh, wat jammer. Maar dan neemt hem over. Ja, hij is nog niet weg. Ja, ja. En dan gaat hij weer.
Ja. Hey. Kom. Hey. Weet je hoe je het houden. Houden. Hier, daar is het. Jij vindt het.
The use of torso muscles can be strengthened through exercise. In football, it doesn't matter what distance you run. What does matter is that it is the ball that does the work. Often, you have to sprint too, from and with the ball. The repetition and maintenance of short sprints necessary in top football is what it all comes down to. Ajax training actively targets this area. Instant maneuvers with the ball that are repeated often. It requires lightning-fast footwork, short contact with the ground, quick rotations and fast movements, even in high states of fatigue.
Ja.
1. Ja. 2. 2 kanten draaien.
Ja.
3.
Ja.
4.
Ja. Hup. Ja. Hup. Ja. Hup. Ja. Rust.
Nee. Hop. Jos. Eén, 2, 3, 4, 5, go. Mooi. Lekker mooi. Ga je, dan ga je. 1 en 2 kick. En 3 en 4 en 5 kick. En het gaat er. En een stukje. En een stukje. En een stukje. Kijk, gas.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, hup, 7, 8 en 9 en 10. 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6, 6, op. 8, 7. Mooi. 8. Ja, stop. 1. Hop. En 10. Hop.
Even more important than jumping power are nerve and timing. Being at the right place at the right time, just before your opponent, staying in the air with good head strength and correct head position. This requires such a complex series of actions that it can best be practiced as a whole, firstly using simple head exercises and gradually more difficult ones.
Kom! Goed hier. Hey! Ha! Dat is beter! Oh. Ja, hop! Ja, ja! Ja, oké, goed bovenop. Ja, hey, hey, hey! 2 handen, PBN. Oh! Meestingen, Rodi! Kom op! Kom! Binnen! Kom maar! Goed, Jimmy! Ga je! Hé! Kom nou eens, Wim! Hé, Johnny! Ja, kom in! Hé!
The Ajax playing system requires increasingly faster circulation of the ball. In teamwork, the ball should do the work. To achieve this, a player must remain master of the ball. So Ajax players are required to have good and especially fast handling of the ball with insight. That is, visual alertness, anticipation and action. The less time and action there are between receiving the ball and passing it on, the more difficult it will be for the opponent to defend. The opponent is forced to chase the ball. This saps his strength and energy. The creation of opportunities paves the way to success. The Ajax training also concentrates on so-called match play and position play. In match play, the objective is to score goals. You play more or less from your position. In position play, you have to try to keep possession of the ball for as long as possible. Your position depends more on the location of the ball, your team's players and opponents. Position play can be practiced in various setups, in a numerical disadvantage or advantage. and on fields with different dimensions. When in possession of the ball, you have to ensure that the distances remain large, making it more difficult to defend. When not in possession of the ball, you have to ensure that you approach the ball at the right moment and make the space around the ball small. The Ajax system only works when you have players that fit into it. They have to have perfect technique, have good insight, continue to function well in all situations, and be fast. That's where tips comes in, because these are the same characteristics for which a player is selected at an early stage. That's not an arbitrary selection. Because Ajax plays attractive, offensive football in the opposing team's half of the pitch, they usually confront many opponents in a small space. Ajax also has clear vision on how these characteristics should be further developed. Training should be as functional as possible. That means that you should closely analyze what a football player needs. This allows you to concentrate on certain specific elements and use systematic training to improve them. And it's very important that the particular element is then reintegrated into the whole. In the end, the whole